And hello, welcome to another episode of Mike Sports. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by Landry. How are you?
Let's do it.
All right, yeah, let's get right into it. Coming off the heels of the major blockbuster announcement of the retirement of Andrew Luck, as first reported on the Football Smack Talk Show Roundtable, courtesy of the old man. Andrew Luck retires from the NFL. Yeah, it's funny. A great story. During our roundtable on Saturday for the Phillyverse, we're sitting there. We're going through our NFL predictions, and the old man sitting there just off camera went up and said, "Andrew Luck is retired," and so we are giving him the credit for breaking.
That's your studio staff, not
Yes.
the old man. That's your studio staff.
Right. Yes. Good point. Yeah. And so we were saying the whole time, Adam Schefter reporting it via the old man who reported it first.
Right. It's like if I'm sitting here and my woman brings me a steak while I'm watching the show, I say breaking news, important information just came in. But it's just a steak. You know what I mean?
Well, it's important that you have that steak, though.
Exactly. Because you know what? The more steak I have, the more accurate I am with my information.
Well, then let's get Chelsea in there with some more steak for you.
Whoa, we don't mention names.
Oh, okay.
Whoa. Cut. Just kidding. All right. So obviously Andrew Luck's the big topic.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you go first on this one because I'm still in the middle of the road about some things about it. So I'm going to let you go first.
Well, look, if it's over because he wants it to be over, then, I mean, so be it. The only thing that stinks about it, the timing, right at the end of training camp, they can't go out there and go get another quarterback right now without paying through the nose in a trade or what have you. You know, they didn't get in a whole offseason. Normally, when a guy retires, he retires right after the season or within a respectable period of time after the season. And then, you know, the team can make its plans to move on from that player. They're getting that news with just mere days away from their first game. I mean, part of me wants to say, dude, you know what? Like, you couldn't have tried to stick it out this year. And at the end of the year, if you wanted to retire, you could tell them all, and you could tell them privately, like, look, at the end of the year, this is going to be my last year. So you're going to want to make plans to get somebody else in here next year. So I think that would have been a better road. But, I mean, he cites mental health and you know, his body just being worn down. And maybe he just, you know, he tried to go through camp thinking, I can just fight through it. Maybe this was something a long time brewing in him. And he just thought, I can fight through it. And finally it just dawned on him he really couldn't. And if that's the case, I mean, I kind of respect not waiting another minute if that's what happened.
I think there's a couple different views. Number one, the crowd booing him
that was in poor taste, but it kind of feels like that was one of those things. You know how, like, when you get drunk and you know you're at a party.
Yeah, I've seen people defend it.
Yeah,
as in like it's an immediate reaction. They'll probably regret later. And then I've seen the people. And here's my deal: in this world, nothing supersedes health. Period. Yeah, absolutely. So anytime someone does something, like I will literally, you know. To the Indianapolis fans, I would love to each one of you booed slap each and every one of you as individuals, because to me that was appalling when they did that to that guy. For any other reason, if the guy just retired for being, I'm done, I don't like playing anymore, my heart's not in it, like something like that, I could be like, you know why? If your heart wasn't in it, the
guy from Buffalo who retired at halftime of a game.
Oh yeah, went in the locker room, got dressed, went to the parking lot while the rest of the team came back on the field. No one knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a defensive back, I think.
Yeah, Monte Davis, yeah.
Yeah, and but he was always a little weird. I don't know if you ever watched Hard Knocks with the Dolphins when they told him they were going to trade him. He's like, hold on, I need to call my grandma. And the guy's like, well, hold on, let me finish telling you where I'm trading you. He's like, no, I need to call my grandma. He was a little bit off, man. He was a little bit off. He like cutting the guy, I need to call my grandma. And the dude's like, we're in my office talking about where we're trading you, and you want to stop everybody to call your grandma. He wants to tell her. He wants to tell her about the trade, not like he needs to call his grandma because of an emergency or anything.
That's weird.
Anybody who hasn't seen it, go watch Hard Knocks, the Dolphins on there. Anyways, back to Luck. That was appalling when they booed him. I was just taken back. Like, wow, we've become, I understand beer and stuff's involved, but we've become that unclassy. where someone's health is still enough for us to feel bitter about. Like, that's ridiculous. I think there's some symbolism here. One of the things I think, if I was Luck, I would have tried to push through this year and say, look, I played the entire decade or close to.
Right.
And 2020, he'd be 30 years old in 2020, a new decade. He hit a new decade and then walk away from the game. I think he should have finished this year. And I know he cites health, but I think there's two versions of this. So the people who booed, what I would ask you, what did you want him to do? Fake his reps, go out on the field and give you his half best for the rest of the season, and you pay him for it? Like, that's what you wanted? Yeah. That's what you wanted. And now someone might argue, well, maybe his half best is better than most quarterbacks. Sure. However, we don't know that. We don't know if in the third game this dude goes down permanently and he's done. Like, cracked, freaking shoulder or whatever.
Yeah, well, hey, look, guys get injured all the time. And serious injuries. I mean, who's to say he wouldn't gone out there and, he's just trying to get through this season knowing, hey, at the end of this year, I'm retiring anyway. My heart's not really in this. And
say he gets really bad. A little bit like Zeke. Sound a little bit like Zeke Elliott right there. Calm down. Calm down. Looking for that money that guarantees everything. Calm down.
But I mean, like, if he's just looking at it, like, he just wants to get through this year and then ride off into the sunset, what happens? He gets hurt, and it's like, I didn't even want to be here anymore. Like, what the hell?
I think what I would have liked to have seen out of him is, hey, during practice in the last 2 weeks, I did something, and I felt like I started to feel a crack or a slow injury slowly coming back, and that's what made me say, it's just done. I need to hang it up. My health is right on the verge of bursting again. I think what makes people mad is like you said in the beginning, why did we come all the way to this point for you to decide now's the time to walk? Like, why didn't you do it like before camp started or something? Like,
and or like in the off season during the draft process. I'm sure the Colts would have addressed the quarterback position at some point. If they
would have interviewed some fans and some fans would have said, "Hey, I booed because he didn't give us a chance to find another quarterback." That's what I'm angry about. But it sounds so far. It came off as they're booing him for just walking away from the game. Period. I think that's what rubs a lot of people.
And that's I agree. And it's funny, like we joked about it here in Philadelphia. A bunch of people like saying, "Oh man, all those Philadelphia fans that rode out to Indianapolis to boo Andrew Luck's retirement, because the Eagles fans are the only ones that boo." So, obviously Philadelphia fans can't miss an opportunity to point out and say,
first of all, let me say this.
Jerks out there too.
Philly fans are the nicest people I've personally ever met. I've had girlfriends, I've had everything, but nothing has been as warm and soft to me as a Philly fan.
Well, what, have you only met me as far as Philly fans?
Are you calling yourself warm and soft?
No,
dude.
I wouldn't call
We've
myself
got 2 cuts in
one
the
of
show
those
already.
Sensitive jerks that
We've had 2 cuts in this show already. We can't.
I think it's time to just burn the footage.
We can't burn the film. A Philly fan called himself warm and soft. Burn the film.
Well, no, I just wouldn't classify myself in the same group as some of the Neanderthals that can, the ones that cheered Michael Irvin getting injured. Because I was definitely not in that group. And
I would never, it doesn't matter what player. There might be players where I'm like, well, maybe that'll keep him from having it. Maybe that'll humble him. Like there are certain players that have got injured. So I'm like, maybe this will humble their attitude a little bit. Like a T.O. or an Antonio Brown or something like that. But in general, I say 99.9% of the time, there's absolutely no reason to ever boo an injury for anybody.
Right. I agree with that.
The game is better when the best are playing it. So I don't want injuries. I want the best on the field. I want to earn a title against the best. I don't want to play some lame dick team that had 2 of their best players off the field and we won. And people basically look at it and go, it's like the NBA that year where they had the holdout.
Right.
People are like, oh, well, of course they won. Half the guys weren't playing. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there because, look, Eagles make, when they won the Super Bowl 52, Tom Brady on the first play of that game goes down and is hurt out for the game, and the Eagles run away and win. Yeah, sure, we're Super Bowl champions, and, we ain't going to give that title back.
Yeah, you'd be taunted forever saying, "Oh, you got lucky." No one wants to hear they got lucky. Everybody wants to hear we won because we're the better team on the field.
Right.
Yeah.
So I completely agree.
Football's a prideful sport, right? So you don't want to walk around with that. You want to have the pride of, no, we whipped your tail on that field, or we earned it up to the last point that we beat you by.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. And for a casual fan, like, I'm an Eagles fan. People in New England, they're Patriots fans. But you're in Texas, you're a Cowboy fan. But you're watching the Super Bowl. You want to see the best versus the best. Just the way I would be. Like, last year, Patriots Rams, I didn't want to see. There it is. There's breaking news.
Breaking news.
Down goes the fork.
Breaking news, though. Breaking news. I need to run. We need to run a ticker along the bottom when food arrives.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know if I can get my wife to get food sent in here to me.
Yeah. Look, I think the wrap up to Andrew Luck, because I really don't think we can say anything that pretty much isn't kind of like obvious at this point, is I hope one day he doesn't look back and say he never reaches potential. I hope one day he looks back and says he's like a Barry Sanders. I did what I could. I don't think I had the team, and somebody asked me about, it was early in the week when it got announced, like, what would I ultimately blame on it? And I'm like, well, it's the GM. This guy was there for 5 years and never built his offensive line. So would you think happened to one of the best quarterbacks? He's going to get lit up and be out of the game early,
Sure. And just like I looked at it, again, looking at it from my Eagles perspective, we have our quarterback Carson Wentz, who suffered a couple injuries. And what did they do? Their main focus this year was getting an offensive line and getting weapons for Carson Wentz. Yeah. That's how you build around a franchise quarterback. And I don't think the Indianapolis Colts ever got that message on how you build around Andrew Luck.
Well, this guy's been there 5 years.
Right.
And what kind of GM is there for 5 years without good offensive line buildup, especially with a quarterback that's getting injured? It's like, but you know what I think that is? I hate to say it, but when I look at the GM and I look at Irsay, I hate to say this, and I could be way off here, but they look like alcoholic buddies. And I'm that may be part of the deal. Like, they're kind of like, he understands Irsay personally on like a personal level and his struggles and whatnot. So it's kind of like the Bengals holding on to a coach they shouldn't. There's that personal connection. So he's in there longer than he was ever supposed to be, even though he's not getting the job done because of a personal connection like that. I don't know.
And that could be.
Because I just don't know how, as an owner, you don't look at that and go, dude, I lost one of the best quarterback prospects in the last 10 years.
Yeah. They
came out of a draft due to early injury at 30 when there's a fucking other team across the country where the dude's playing to 45. They got an extra 15 years out of a guy than I did? Like, what the hell?
Right. They got an extra career and a half out of a guy.
Yeah. That's fucking nuts, man. And look, my only beef my only stake, no pun intended, is the GM. Past that, I'm 100%. If you're done, you're done. And I actually think Andrew Luck is going to set a trend that let's call it either the 50 or the $100 million club. I think some of these youngsters, when they hit these numbers, are going to go, I got enough to invest in that will pay me just as much as being in football will if I sign a contract later that won't be as much if I hang in the league longer. I think we're going to see a trend of superstars exiting earlier than usual. Look at Cam Newton. I mean, by all accounts, Cam Newton should say, dude, I've been beat the hell up. I got enough money. I'm done.
Would it shock you if in a year, if Cam Newton was out of the game? Wouldn't shock you?
Well, not only that, me personally, I think Cam Newton's overrated.
Well,
could do that in another segment. But I wouldn't be shocked, or I guess I wouldn't care, I guess would be more the word. But to your exact statement, though, is no, I wouldn't be shocked because I just don't think, even with the rule changes, I just think a lot football is the roughest sport on the body. And it's not even the damn games. Did you hear that Gronkowski, in one game and one hit, they had to drain 33 milliliters of blood out of his quad from one hit?
Jeez.
And when you hear that, you're like, these players, and look, does he look like the kind of guy that can handle a hit? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How many times has he been hit like that? Probably a ton.
Sure.
So, I really don't think people get how hard and how fast and how strong these NFL players play. I mean, this is a grown fucking man sport. I'll take any of your other sports, your basketball players, even your rugby guys and whatnot. Dude, you put them against like a Ray Lewis in his prime and you're a running back and you get to have a good square hit on you. You know, it's like boxing. Everybody has a plan until they get hit.
Yep.
Everybody thinks they can do
Mike Tyson quote.
Anytime I think about that, I think of Reggie Bush and that one hit he took on the Saints where he was on all fours gasping for air. And he was one of the best and fastest college players to ever play the game. He went to the NFL and got lit up.
Oh, it's one of my favorite highlights, that Sheldon Brown hit in the playoff game, and I thought for sure that was going to set the tone and the Eagles were advancing. They didn't.
When I saw that hit, I was like, Reggie Bush, welcome to the NFL.
That hit was the poster child for the "you just got jacked up" segment on Monday Night Football. Yeah,
I remember even his stomach and his back were arced up. Like he was trying to get air so bad that his back was trying to help him go in like an enclave to get air to come up in him. Like, I mean, he looked bad.
Yeah,
and he also looked small. It also goes to show you may be a badass in college and fast and can cut, but once those grown men hit you hard enough, you know,
they're big and they're just as fast as you.
Yeah. In fact, like, you know, when I'm watching things with my girl, like football and stuff, I usually try to teach her stats about that. I was telling her the other day, I was saying less than 1% ever make it to the NFL. That's how much of an elite game that is. There's 122 collegiate colleges that play football that have 53 people per school. So 122 times 53. Only 1% of them even has a shot at the NFL. And even the 1% that makes it, about 0.75% of that 1% are out in the first 3 years.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, is nuts how elite the NFL is.
The average NFL career is about what the extent of a rookie contract, 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I tell people, hey, if you can't figure out life, like Eric, if you're confused right now,
sure,
go to Cabo. Everything is solved in Cabo, apparently.
All right, hon, I'm going to go to Cabo. I'll be
Zeke has taught me that if I can't figure out my life, I go to Cabo.
That seems
I'm not bitter. This is like the third video I've had to say it. I am not bitter. Face.
Landry, it's a good thing you're not bitter.
Yeah.
Beer face.
I mean, sex.
All I can say for my Eagles is I am so happy that we have none of this freaking drama.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of which,
so
now that you've seen preseason, you've seen some of your players you're going to have. If you had to predict the Eagles' record this year, what are you going with? What is going to be your record this year?
Well, funny you should ask. Is on the roundtable that we have, which by the way is available in our archives over at phillyverse.com. You know, I predicted 13-3 by going down the schedule and just predicting wins and losses. I will say I think there's probably one game that I gave a win to that we're going to lose. So I'll say they're going to be 12-4.
12-4. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have them at 11-5.
Okay. No, that's fair.
And I have the Cowboys at 9-7.
See, I have the Cowboys at 10-6.
Yeah. Jason Garrett, he's not going to let us get that 10th win. I told you, dude.
I think the Cowboys should win 10 games. I wouldn't be surprised if your coaching staff keeps you from one of those wins.
And I think what's going to happen is I think the Cowboys are going to have a late surge. We're going to look like we might be able to take the NFC Championship, and then something's going to fall. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I had a couple games where I'm like, I think we're going to get dinged in the end to the point to where you guys edge us out by about 2 games, 3 games. So
actually, if you'd like, I can pull up the Dallas Cowboys schedule.
Okay. I love that a guy from Philly is looking up the Dallas Cowboys. See, this is what it's all trickery. It's all trickery.
Okay. All right. Week 1, Giants at Cowboys.
We win that.
All right, so that's 1-0. Week 2 at the Redskins.
We win that.
2-0. Week 3 at home against the Dolphins.
We win that.
So that's
now here's let me throw something in there. If we don't win 2 of those 3, I guarantee Jerry Jones is on a plane to Cabo to get Zeke.
Okay. So then week 4, this is where it gets interesting. You play the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans.
I think we win that.
Really?
I have it about 4-0 right now. Yep.
All right. Week 5.
I told you, I think the Saints are going to have a hangover emotionally from that thing. I don't think they're going to be as good as people are making them out to be.
Okay. Week 5, you host the Packers.
I think we lose that game.
Okay, so that's what, 4-1?
Yeah, 4-1.
All right. And then at the Jets.
Okay, obviously I'm going to pick Cowboys on that one.
Yeah, 5-1.
Freaking
At home against the Eagles.
I think. Ooh.
See, I have the Cowboys winning that game.
I think we win that one, but I think we lose the second game against y'all.
Right.
That's why I got it.
Okay, so you're 6-1.
6-1
at the Giants.
I think the Giants beat us in that one.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. I know they suck, but the Giants.
Right.
I've always told everybody as a Cowboys fan, the scheme that the Giants typically run usually works pretty well. That's why the games are always tight, even if the Giants suck. We have like a scheme where it's just kind of X and O against each other.
Okay, at home against the Vikings.
I think we win that.
All right, so 7-2. At the Lions.
I think we win that.
So you're 8-2 when you go to the Patriots.
I think we lose that.
Okay, 8-3. At home against the Bills.
I think we win that.
It's 9-3. At the Bears.
I think we lose that.
So is that
9? This is during winter too, so I definitely think we get whipped in that one.
And then at home against the Rams.
I think we lose that.
So that's what, 9-5, and you already said you'd lose to the at the Eagles, so that's 9-6.
There you go. Yeah.
And so, and then at home against the Redskins, final week of the season.
I think we lose that.
Wow, really? Okay.
Yeah. So that puts me right where I said. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think I'm with you on most of that schedule, except I have you winning the last game against the Redskins.
I think if we're not going to have a playoff berth, or it's looking like we're probably not going to have a playoff berth, I think that's why we lose that game. I think we kind of lose that whole. Like, we're not going anywhere. We don't care anymore. Yeah, like kind of thing.
And the Redskins, where you're playing, like maybe you have a chance at a wild card, but you have to win and get help, and maybe it's
and I think the Redskins are like, hell, we're gonna throw it all on the field. We're a shitty team anyways. Let's throw it with a bang, and they smack us around.
Yeah.
The Indians finally get revenge. They take all the reservations back from the Cowboys. Kind of thing.
And what's funny is I think you had the Cowboys going 3-3 in the division. You had them losing, at the Eagles.
In my opinion, I do not see this as a good year for the Cowboys. I just don't.
Okay.
I think we're going to play our basic. I know I said a 9-7, but it's going to be an 8-8 like year. I think for the Cowboys. Yeah.
What was it, like 3 or 4 straight years there? You guys went 8-8.
Yeah, 14, 15, and 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, there's going to have to be. I think we're about to go. I really do. I think the Cowboys are about to go through a crisis moment. I think what's going to happen is we're going to let Jason Garrett go.
Mm-hmm.
And Jerry Jones is going to have a Jimmy Johnson-like fucking moment again. The real guy to get is Sean Payton. But Sean Payton comes with his own set of, I have to have this or I'm not leaving. And it's going to be, I want full control. Remember all the things he has with the Saints that he gets to do that Jerry Jones would want to intervene with. Jerry Jones is going to have to back off. He's going to have to go, I'm going to give you more control. I'm going to give you final say on these items. I'm going to let you have more of like a GM-like role too. And Jerry Jones is gonna have to sign off on that, and I bet Sean Payton's gonna want it in a freaking contract. He's not gonna be like, okay, I'll take your word for it.
Right? Yeah. No,
Jerry Jones. I mean, Jerry Jones is so iced on Eskimo. I mean, he's just that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Look, I think that's a very real possibility. I know the Cowboys would love to get a Sean Payton if that were to happen. I know the Cowboys fans would love that.
And I would like a Lincoln Riley, but I will point this out about Lincoln Riley. College has taught us a little bit. I read an interesting stat today that 98% of coaches that have national championships in the college level do not run the offense. The coach does not run the offense.
Okay.
I thought that was very telling. There are only 2 teams right now, I think, in college. Or, I'm sorry, there were only 2 coaches in the past. And now, Lincoln Riley and Steve Spurrier, who run the offense. And the argument was, and we're switching over in a little bit of college by talking about this, but we were talking about, if I had to pick Oklahoma or UT going to the national championship, I'm like UT because I think UT has the coaching setup correct. I don't think Oklahoma does. Mm-hmm. And when I read that stat, it just backed up what I said because Lincoln Riley calls the offensive plays.
Right. Whereas
Tom Herman is like, like your typical, he runs it like a CEO, like a Nick Saban and Urban Meyer did, and yada, yada, yada.
And I generally believe in that system. I know, like, a lot of NFL, like, they've gone the way of the NFL. It's almost like every head coach calls either the offense or the defensive plays, which I've always subscribed to more of the CEO type coach.
Yeah. I would be interested to see in the NFL, like, how that works.
Yeah.
Of all the guys that won the Super Bowl, even if it was like what's his name, Mike McCarthy, who was heavily involved in stuff, even though he had a coordinator, he was kind of half of the coordinator's job too.
Right.
He would get in. I'm just curious, like, how many teams have won a Super Bowl in the NFL that the coach ran maybe the offense or the defense himself?
Right. Well, hey, I mean, I can give you one example. The Eagles, when they won the Super Bowl, Doug Peterson called the offensive plays.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He sure did.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I mean, that's one example. I'd be curious, like you said, though, to dig back through. Like, I know Belichick doesn't call either the offense or defensive plays.
Yeah, I think he's involved.
He's involved.
He might be a little more involved this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think what kind of run? Okay, so the Eagles obviously don't have Nick Foles anymore.
Right.
They're Carson Wentz centric. We talked about this a little last week, where if Wentz went down and whatnot. We haven't talked much about Doug Peterson. What do you think he has to do as a coach in order to say, I'm still the same guy that took us to a Super Bowl?
He has to continue to be willing to adapt to in-game situations. Like when he sees, hey, the running game's working, even though that's not his staple, he's shown more of a willingness to say, hey, you know what? We're getting 6-7 yards a pop. We're going to keep running it until somebody stops us. And I think that's his biggest area of strength versus, say, Andy Reid. And a lot of people thought with him being an Andy Reid disciple that he would be an Andy Reid clone.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been. He's been willing to adjust to those in-game situations. He's, in my opinion, been one of the best in-game adjustment coaches that the Eagles have ever had. And that's why is just the willingness to be able to change on the fly. Okay, this isn't working, so we're not going to stick with it just because I'm the stubborn head coach.
Right.
We're going to find something else that works. And I think that's his biggest strength. And I think in order for him to be successful, he's continue to make that his biggest strength.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of detail. Like when it comes to my coach, mine's simple. You're fired. So, I mean, it's like I hate to say it, but I feel like it's like a year that we're just going to try to get through so we can hurry up and get to 2020 to get our real team going. Like it's like I hate to say it, but it feels like we're not rebuilding, but we are recalibrating, I guess.
Well, it's funny. A guy that I do fantasy football with, one time our league was having some struggles. People were arguing about stuff. We almost disbanded the whole league, and he took over the commissionership role, and he called it like the next year was the teardown year,
nice,
and the next year was the rebuild. I feel like that's where the Cowboys are at. This is their teardown year, and the next year can be the rebuild.
And it's not even teardown player; it's teardown coaching staff.
Teardown coaching staff.
Yeah, it's like who thought?
Yeah, because you just had some talent there. That's a pretty loaded roster if you just look at the roster.
Yeah, and the only thing, if I had to pick a weakness on the Cowboys, I would say our defense, although good, we are undersized.
Yeah,
we are an undersized defense. We rely more on agility and speed than we do size on our defense.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny. And I'll actually quote a former Eagles coach who I was not a big fan of, and Chip Kelly. It was one of his big statements was big guys beat up little guys.
Yeah.
And being a guy who played football and was a little guy, let me tell you, it's true. Big guys used to knock the crap out of me. I hated it.
I was really fast, so I just ran from them. So I was okay.
See, I was a defensive back, and so when I tried to fight, I'd get walloped.
Yeah, I was a running back in Texas. You know how serious we take football down
Oh
here.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the highlight tapes.
That's right. The best you've ever seen. Like, I'd rather watch my highlight tape than the 2019 Cowboys season highlights.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we talk about coaches a little bit. So my sleeper team, and this is going against a little bit of against what I said, I think in one of our first two segments. I actually think Atlanta is they're gonna supplant the Saints this year, in my opinion.
You have the Falcons winning the NFC South. Little preview to our big preview episode next week.
Yeah. I think the Saints are going to supplant them, and I mean the Falcons are going to supplant the Saints. Right. And I say that not because the Saints aren't good enough, but because they hung on to emotional crap too long. And I think it is going to screw their team up. It's like they won a Super Bowl, or they went to the Super Bowl and lost. It's the same effect to me what they're going through.
Yeah, I agree.
They're not going to recover. They're going to have a decent season. Like, I don't think the Saints are going to suck.
Right.
They will not be the Saints we saw last year. No.
You think the Saints make the playoffs?
No.
Okay.
I got the Saints just out.
Okay. That's interesting. I kind of like it. If I had to give a little preview as a possible surprise team for me, I'll say the New York Jets.
What?
Yeah, I was waiting for that reaction. I think they could be a wild card team. Like, obviously, they're not winning the division.
How much money did Le'Veon Bell send you? Did he send you the $15 million that he didn't get?
Yeah, that was part of the contract he worked out. He's like, look, guys, I get it. I don't get that $15 million. I'm going to send it to somebody else. He's going to hold on to the money for a while for me. He gets to live off the interest and then give me that $15 million afterwards.
Out of all the dumb decisions I've ever seen, that guy walked away from $15 million just because he was upset with the team. That is ludicrous. I've never seen that's a guy who, to me, he probably doesn't invest his money or something if he doesn't care.
He's probably got all the money in cash underneath his mattress at home.
And it's probably all like $3 bills. Like he went and got like an odd bill.
You went and got $3 bills. Nobody told him they're not real.
Speaking of Steelers drama,
yeah.
How do you feel about Ben Roethlisberger's comments about what he had to say this past week?
Refresh my memory on that. I never even got to see that.
He basically said he's sorry about how their relationship went down.
Okay.
And that he feels like whatever happened between them two ruined a good friendship.
Look, that sounds genuine to me. Like, someone says something like that, that typically sounds like, he could be genuinely sorry that something like that happened.
I feel like it's an opportune time. You got all this drama going on in the Raiders, and Ben's like, let me say something really responsible and nice just to make him look even more irresponsible over there on the Raiders. That's what I felt like it was.
That could be true. But I want to try to, even though I don't like Ben Roethlisberger, I want to try to take it at face value.
Why don't you like Ben Roethlisberger?
I think he can be a bit of a creep. The way he treats women in nightclubs and stuff like that. You hear about some of that? He allegedly raped some women before.
No, I didn't hear that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's why if you've ever heard me refer to him, I try not to do this on camera, but hey, why not? It's just us here.
Be careful. YouTube doesn't like certain words.
Oh, okay. Well, just think of a word that could be similar to Roethlisberger and it starts with an R, burger.
That's disgusting. You creepy Philadelphia. Wait, maybe I'm going the wrong direction. Did I go dark web and you meant something else?
He was accused of rape. Put that with his name.
You can't say that on YouTube. Shh. They take down all videos with that in there. Sorry. So we were talking about vape. You know, people they do the smoking, the vaping.
Yeah. The vape. Yeah.
Okay.
He was
I was
accused of
making sure
vape.
that's what you meant.
That's what I don't like. Yeah.
You don't like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're making me choke.
Can't stand the vapors, man.
You're making me choke on my $700 steak that I got over here. But I mean, I don't have any problems with Roethlisberger because I'm one of those. First of all, I didn't hear that. I don't know if he actually was proven guilty or
no, he was not.
Accused.
He was accused
and
he was exonerated.
Anybody, I don't believe in accusations unless proven guilty. That's just the way I work. Like people can say anything they want if it's not proven by the court of the law or you're not.
Hey, look, I'm not saying the man should be in jail because I don't know what happened. All I know is it just seems like it's been more than once that he's been accused of improprieties, and to me, it just kind of screams that where there's smoke, there's fire.
Right, and the best thing to do in that case to me is the next time he plays Philadelphia, you put him in the little tiny jail cell you'll have in the stadium.
No, we got rid of that jail. It's now
Did you? Okay, hold on. I still thought there was a jail down there.
No, that was in the old stadium.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, they didn't carry that.
You're right. Yeah, I'm thinking. I wasn't thinking about that. Y'all switched stadiums.
Right.
Yeah, I do like y'all's new stadium, by the way. And
you can come up sometime, and we'll go to an Eagles Dallas game.
Well, that's a good idea. And I tell you what, for the fun of it, the first injury that happens to the Cowboys, I'll boo them.
Well, in my section, you'd be safe wearing your Cowboy stuff because I'd make sure everybody knew not to bother you.
Oh yeah, because that sounds like one person can protect me against a whole freaking stadium of people.
You have to understand. I run that section. 228 is my section.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I'll make you the same offer. You should come down and wear Eagles stuff and go to a Cowboys game. But I'm going to change my rules up a little bit. I will not protect you from the Cowboys fans. So
that's a different offer. I'll still show up. We should definitely do that sometime. I'll come down for Eagles Cowboys from Texas.
I'm sure we can pull that off at some point. And I haven't been to a Dallas game actually in a while. I'm really a bar or a TV guy because I find going to the stadium inconvenient. And down here, I can't speak for there, but where I go, parking is ridiculously priced. Oh, and weird. I'm like, hey, I need a beer. And they ask me for a urine sample, my firstborn child. And I'm like, how much does the beer cost again? And I mean, it's ridiculous. At this point, I'm like, man, I can get Taco Bell and sit in front of my TV at half the cost and have a front, be right there on the field.
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous. One time I went in line to get a beer, and I look at the guy, I'm like, wow, man, because it was a long line. I said, is this the beer line? It's moving really slow. He's like, no. This is where you apply for the loan so you can then go buy the beer.
Oh, that's good. I like it. All right, man, you need to get serious. No more of this joke and crap.
All right, let's get serious.
Let's get serious now. So we're officially September 6th is the kickoff of the season.
Yeah.
Right?
September 5th. Yeah.
We have one more preseason game to go.
Yep.
Do you think it matters at this point, or do you think Philly has who they need?
It's funny. In our roundtable, we went through and we figured out in our mind what the 53-man roster should be.
Roundtable? Are you talking about the Philly Smack Show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we decided, who we thought should stay or go in the 53-man. So I really don't think a lot. I think there's a few spots that they're still competing for. But for the most part, I think it's pretty set. Now, I'm going to ask you a question about the big rumor of the day.
Okay.
The Jadeveon Clowney potentially being traded. I've heard a couple teams, the Eagles, the Miami Dolphins, and the Seattle Seahawks. Those are the three teams I've heard that he's potentially getting traded to. Have you heard the same kind of things?
I have not heard it. And did anywhere in there, did they say like what's being traded for him?
The rumors, and some of these are just the Eagles fanboys who want to just post something as clickbait.
Oh, so you've only seen this in like an Eagles atmosphere?
I've seen this. No, I've seen this reported by reputable guys.
Okay.
Who have said that in the next 36 hours or so, that's a good chance that Jadeveon Clowney is wearing a different uniform.
We'll probably know by Friday evening, like if this is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, look, the Texans want to do that if they're going to make a deal with them because they want to be able to set their 53-man roster.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. So
let's
not just talk about the rumor. What impact do you think that would have on the Texans?
The impact it would have on the Texans, I don't think it would be very good for them at all, unless they get great compensation for it.
And what I'm hearing, if the Eagles
rumors, which include like Nelson Aguilar, one of their running backs, and a potential like 4th-round pick,
right,
for Jadeveon Clowney. And I don't think that would be fair compensation at all. So that would hurt the Texans a lot. That would really help the Eagles a ton if they were to, because it would take a position of need, the edge pass rusher, and really turn it into a position of strength.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple of things. Number one, if they were going to get like a killer receiver, their offense would become instantly more potent. That could be the equalizer. My issue is if you get rid of Clowney, J.J. Watt, in my opinion, is probably going to retire soon, in my opinion. I don't think this guy's going to play more than 3 years, maybe 2 years max. I think he's had back injuries. I think J.J. Watt's already looking at, I'm going to throw a couple more seasons in there, but if I don't think we have a Super Bowl team, I'm going to go ahead and let go and retire from the NFL. I think he's going to be one of the smarter players. He's going to retire young. And if you take Watt out in the next 2 to 3 years, Clowney's not there. I don't know of any other like superstars with like the Max and the Donalds to go get, which they're not leaving their teams. So I'm sitting there going, so basically you've gone less. The only thing that would make it better, in my opinion, is if you load up your offense with some talent for Watson to hit, other than Hopkins. You go get him an equally or better receiver to go on the opposite side. Then it would be worth it. Because to me, having a more potent offense is more important than having a killer defense these days. So I would say if they're going to upload their offense if they're going to update their offense to some stronger weapons, I'm all for it.
Right.
But that's the only way. Other than that, I'm like, it would be a waste to trade him as much as we put into him.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I definitely think that, if you're going to do that, you better upgrade, at least like you said, on the offensive side, get yourself, a receiver who can really impact the game, and say a running back. But I don't think Nelson Aguilar would be a nice addition to the Texans, and he would be the cornerstone for the Texans is getting Aguilar. But that's not enough.
Yeah, I can't see well, first of all, it's a rumor. So until it's true, I'm not going to jump all over it.
We're just addressing a rumor. Yeah.
I don't know. I can't see the justification in it. Like I said, other than loading up Watson with another target, that's the only thing that made me go, okay, I don't know of a receiver that's out there right now that's available that would make it a killer deal. So I'm kind of like, I don't know how much faith I put in the rumor, I guess then. And it also depends, is Bill O'Brien the one driving this or someone else driving this?
Apparently it's, the Texans are shopping him, but the Eagles, did go and inquire, about this kind of deal. Like, this is the Eagles' offer, but it's the Texans who've been inquiring to try and get him.
Do you think he'd fill a crucial spot on the Eagles, or do you already feel like the Eagles have a pretty good spot filled, but he'd just make it better?
I think the Eagles will be fine, even if they don't go get Jadeveon Clowney. I think that would just give them, that would be a huge boost to their defensive side.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't hear that. That's weird. Especially when they're over here, I know they've been trying to sign him or franchise him or whatever lately. I don't know.
I think we're experiencing some technical difficulties. I'm having some trouble hearing you. I know it looks like I'm freezing from this one. I think this might be a good time to head on out.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you, but it's like bits and pieces, and you're definitely frozen on my screen. Okay. And the stream output that I see is also frozen.
Okay, you look fine on my end, so you go ahead and close it out then.
All right. Well, everybody, I want to thank everyone for listening, for joining in. Be sure to support all the Phillyverse, so the website coming off, Phillyverse.com. And, check out, we got Monday through Thursday, just shows everywhere. Monday's the flagship show, the Football Smack Talk show. Tuesday, you got the Philly Broadcast with Ryan Reese, Ryan Finneran. Of course, Wednesdays right here on YouTube. Myself along with Landry as we bring you Mike Sports. And then Thursday nights, tables, ladders, and chairs. So thanks everybody for joining us. For Landry, I'm Eric. Have a great night, guys. Happy football. Only 8 more days to go.